Mcminnville Water and Light Commission meeting to order. And Trina, if you would do, I see that we're recording, and so could you do a roll call for us?
Yes, Mayor Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Here.
Commissioner Gormley,
Here.
Commissioner Christensen indicated that she'll be about 30 minutes late this evening, and Commissioner Tate.
Here.
Thank you, Trina. I will go ahead, and our next item on the agenda this evening is our consent agenda. We have 2 items there. Is there any commissioner that would like to take anything off the consent agenda and put on the regular agenda for discussion this evening?
I moved adoption of the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Tankersley and seconded by Commissioner Gormley. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Consent agenda has been accepted unanimously this evening. We have accounts payable report and purchasing reports for you to take a look at. Any questions on either the accounts payable or purchasing reports?
None here.
Okay. That takes us to consultant and partner report, and I see that Brent's on the line. So Brent, if you could give us your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a lot to report this month. Reforestation is all wrapped up and went really well. And hoping to get some wet weather coming in here in the next week or so, just to extend that moisture out further with all the seedlings we put in. 2021 stumpage sales, the 103 road sale, I have heard nothing from Boise on when they want to start. The contract's in place and the bonding and everything, but they have until the end of next year. They may juggle that sale as they look at, other volume out there in the market or whatever. There's quite a bit of flexibility with that one throughout the year. So we'll see what they decide there. Unlike the 750 road, which is a 1-year contract, and not only that, really needs to get done in the dry season because it's down in the bottom of dirt spur. So Western is aware of that, and they've told me they're going to get started here in the next few weeks. So they should be in full swing in May on that sale. And that's all I have for tonight.
Any questions of Brent?
Nope.
Okay, thank you, Brent, for that short and sweet report, but all good stuff. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Uh-huh. I see we have no appearance requests this evening. We've got a staff report. So Jamie, I'll have you report on the Power Resource Manager, or Jamie is our Power Resource Manager. So Jamie, if you would please report on the
Yes, thank you.
conservation.
Yes, I'd like to give the commission a brief update on the conservation program, as we're now 75% through the rate period, and have achieved spending of 80% of our nation on conservation incentives. So we have not experienced any slowdown due to the pandemic, seen steady momentum in the conservation arena with our customers. And recently we've collaborated with our partner ESG to target multifamily homes and mobile home communities with direct install kits or self-install kits, LED lighting. The commission may recall, we initiated that effort a couple of years ago with big success and are seeing the same this go around. So in just a little over a month, we managed to spend all of that $94,000. Just in the last week, we've spent the rest since I wrote this memo. So there's plenty of potential there to serve those customers and also use it as an opportunity to reach out to some of those communities who may be able to benefit from our low-income weatherization incentives as well. So things are going very well, and we shouldn't have any trouble spending the rest of our EEI allocation for the rate period.
Tom?
Jamie, was the multifamily housing, was that a contact with the individual residents or with the owner of the building?
We worked with Housing Authority for those apartment complexes mostly, and duplexes and things. And Housing Authority reached out to the managers of the communities or the
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions for Jamie? Jamie, thank you for that report. We'll be hearing from you quite a bit later this evening. No old business. We do have new business this evening, and we have 2 new employees, and we'd like to take a moment to do introductions. And James, you've got 2 new employees that have come to the water division. We've got Ryan and we've got Dallas. So I'll turn some time over to James, and we'll have them introduce themselves and give a little bit of their background. Then we'll take an opportunity to introduce ourselves as a commission. So James?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we have 2 employees here from the water treatment plant. Although they're not really new, I guess they're new to their positions. Ryan Sticka, he's been working for Mac Water since 2009. With the retirement of Doug Buxton, who was a water treatment plant supervisor, Ryan stepped up and was promoted to the treatment plant supervisor from a water treatment plant operator 3 position. So he brings a wealth of knowledge, experience. He understands the regulatory requirements really well in the watershed management, just to name a few. So it's been a nice, smooth transition with Ryan taking the lead up there. Ryan, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I was very thankful to take over as a treatment plant supervisor here. It's been an interesting year with COVID, to say the least. But not only Dallas, but we have 2 other operators up here, and the crew that I work with has made that transition very smoothly. So I appreciate that. So yeah, everything's going smoothly right now. As you probably have all heard, there's a big fire in Mcminnville. So we've been pretty busy trying to keep up with the demand as it jumped, more than doubled the flow to town. So we've had to increase flows. And so we've been pretty busy here in the last hour trying to keep up with the demand. So
What kind of flow do you have right now compared to normal?
the town is using a little over 12 million gallons a day, where this morning it was using 4.5.
Oh my God.
So we have the reservoirs nice and full, and we're keeping them steady. We had to turn on another filter to accept that high demand, but we're working through it. So.
Wow.
So I have a suggestion for you. You know, you're a really important employee, really important to our community because of the work you do. I would think that Mr. Dietz or James could well afford to buy you guys specialized hats that say Mcminnville Water and Light on them, and even your department with with your credentials. You guys got special credentials. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, don't you think that we should shame James and John into doing that? This is coming from somebody who runs a business and wants to make sure everybody knows me.
Ed, I know Trina can take care of that very quickly.
I like it.
Anyway, I'm just teasing you. I'm not just.
I know.
Thanks for the great job you do.
At least it's not a Yankees hat.
Yeah, it's at home right now.
Busy.
Well, Ryan, you know, many of us have met you when we've been up at the plant and recognize you. So again, congratulations. And it's a new position, but you know, it's exactly what we're trying to do here at Water and Light, and that's to promote within. And those that take the additional time to become certified and do the things that you do to be able to allow you to become the water treatment plant supervisor. So welcome. And again, we'll introduce ourselves as commissioners in just a moment. And so, James, we can go back and have Dallas introduce himself.
All right, so Dallas, he's actually from Mcminnville. He's worked for Mcminnville Water and Light in the past as a seasonal on this distribution crew. He's replaced Jim Daggett, who had retired after a number of years. So Dallas, although he is a new employee in regards to being full-time, he does understand Mcminnville Water and Light and kind of our goals as a company. So during his breaks and during college, he came and worked on the distribution crew. After graduation, he worked for Highline Water, and we had an opening he put in for, and he's been a great addition, quick learner, and he's been a real good asset up there. So Dallas, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, getting this position at Mcminnville Water and Light was a really big step up for me as a young growing adult. I appreciate the opportunity that Mcminnville's given me from the first day I've spent in water. Felt like a home to me, and everyone's treated me, as a valued employee and a valued individual. And I appreciate you guys doing this. It's really nice to put some names to some faces. So again, thanks.
Thank you, Dallas.
Mr. Mayor, where did Dallas go to school at?
So I went to school at Western Oregon University.
Okay,
Great.
good for you.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we just take a moment and have each of our commissioners introduce themselves. I'm going to start out with Jody Christensen, who hasn't joined us tonight, but Jody has been on the commission now for a little over a year, if I'm not mistaken. And currently she works for the governor on the regional solutions team, where she has the Willamette Valley, and she represents the cities and is the liaison between the governor and the cities to get things accomplished. Prior to that, Jody had been the director of Mcminnville Economic Development Partnership, and she was the first director of that, spent 10 years within the city of Mcminnville, became a great partner to us. We're very excited to have Jody with us and being on the commission. So that's Jody, who isn't with us yet. So Kathy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Kathy Tate. This is my third meeting with the commission, and I'm really enjoying learning a lot of things. You guys have fascinating jobs, so I'm gonna be interested in learning a lot more about them over the next couple years. So I'm the CEO at Online Northwest, which is the local internet service provider here in Mcminnville, and I've been doing that for 21 years. So we have about 47 employees between here and an office in Eugene, and lots of people needed internet this year, so we've been really busy. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, Kathy. Let's go over to Ed. Ed?
Hi, again, Ed Gormley. My family owns Gormley Plumbing and Mechanical here in Mcminnville. I've served on the board for quite a few years, and really enjoy my history with all the employees, and I've managed to outlast a lot of the retirees here. So anyway, this is a wonderful organization to work for. Your community loves you. We do great things for our community and get great leadership. So welcome aboard.
Ed is a former mayor of Mcminnville for 25 years, and all that time was on the Water and Light Board, and even longer now. So he's got many years of service. Tom Tankersley is our board chair, or our commission chair. So go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. Dallas, it's nice to meet you, and Ryan, it's good to see you again. I want you both to know that I really enjoy the annual tour of the watershed, and I particularly like seeing what's going on in the treatment plant. And I was here when it was expanded, and it was just fascinating for me to see what happened and how it worked and how it works. And so I agree, you guys have a really interesting job, and as today proves and every day proves, very important too. I've been on the commission for, I don't know, 30 years or so. I retired from practicing law a couple of years ago, and I think one of the most satisfying things I've done in McMinnville, besides raising my kids, is this being on the commission. I mean, I think that, together the employees and the staff and the commissioners really do something important for the city, and I'm glad that you guys are a part of it. So nice to see you, Ryan, and nice to meet you, Dallas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And I'm Mayor Scott Hill, and I sit on the commission representing the city of McMinnville as mayor. So I'm an ex officio, and I have been involved with the city for 28 years, whether it be with the budget committee or as a city councilor or as mayor. So again, as you can tell, we've got committed individuals on the commission that really care about this community, but even more importantly, care about water and light and making sure that this organization is one that's great to work for. So again, you have been members of the team. We're excited to give you new opportunities to grow. And so thank you for spending the time with us this evening to introduce yourself and let us get to know you and you get to know us. So thanks, you guys. Ryan and Dallas, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Our pleasure.
Under new business, the next that we have is a COVID update and an extension of the emergency declaration. So John, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, COVID protocols are still in place. We have had no new COVID cases within the staff over the last month. There was a vaccine clinic that staff was able to attend. I believe we're roughly somewhere around 30% of the staff has been vaccinated now, had at least the first shot. The clinic was actually the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Construction continues to be very, very brisk. The line crew is working with the contractor over at Baker Creek, both in the subdivision and at the substation. Wire is going in on the first phase of the Baker Creek substation, phase 1A, and the contractor is submitted for extension agreements for phases 1B, 1C, and 1D as well. So that subdivision will, right now the build out, I believe, is around 120 lots with the current agreements. And then the water crew, Highway 99 contractors working on that project. I anticipate that will be wrapped up by the end of the month. And the water crew is working on installing new water meters, ERT meters, and then routine maintenance, including valving and flushing. The front office, customer interest in credit cards has definitely gone up. We, over the last month, we took in approximately $937,000 in credit card payments for a total of just over 5,200 transactions. So that is definitely continuing to increase. Our customers helping customers, we spent a little under $6,200 in that program this month. Water and Light has actually reached its maximum in that program, the $20,000 that the commission has contributed to that. And then finally, I'd probably say total fees that we've waived to date is just a little over $510,000 through the pandemic. I would also add that the governor's order expires May 3rd, but I believe that will be extended. And our current declaration expires on April 21st, and I recommend that we extend our declaration to May 19th.
Any questions of John from commission?
I have just a little report. As I predicted, when credit cards became free, I switched over to credit cards, and I was having a little trouble getting onto the website and figuring out how to do it. So I called I didn't take down the person's name who helped me, but she pointed me in the right direction. And I'm happy to report that the money came out of my credit card this month, and I did not have to involve one of my grandchildren to help me.
Glowing report, Tom.
Yes, yes. So thank
Okay.
you for Miles, whoever been pushing that for years. I guess I'd start with Wes Thomas, right?
Wes and Vance and John and myself and Trina.
And Trina, yes.
Well, thank you for the update on that, John. I think what we'll need is a motion to extend the emergency declaration. Is that correct, Sam?
Yeah, we have resolution number 2021-13. I'll read it by title if you all are ready for it.
Yes, I'm ready.
It's a resolution by the City of Mcminnville, a municipal corporation of the state of Oregon, acting by and through its Water and Light Commission, declaring and extending a state of emergency with regard to operation of the water and light plants of the City of Mcminnville. That's 2021-13.
Thank you, Sam. Any other questions on this?
No questions.
Hearing none, then Trina, will you poll the commission?
I think Kathy needs to make the motion first, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry. Can I, so moved? Can I do that?
Yes, you can. Perfect. Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Tate and seconded by Commissioner Gormley. So Trina, could you poll the council or the commission?
Yes. Mayor Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Yes.
Commissioner Gormley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tate.
Yes.
Resolution number 2021-13 passes unanimously. Thank you. We've got a number of items from Jamie, and so we've got two that I think go somewhat hand in hand with our BPA service agreement. So Jamie, if you take the next two items, and we'll continue from there after.
Thank you. Yes, I have, first of all, revision number 9 to Exhibit A of our transmission agreement with Bonneville Power Administration. This pertains to metering changes and updates, primarily resulting from the purchase of the Walnut City Tap, and also with the Banson Dairy Generation Facility going offline. So it's updating the exhibit to reflect those metering changes. No other modifications to the terms of our transmission agreement. So staff's recommending commission approval of revision 9 to Exhibit A of the service agreement for network integration transmission service, contract number 02TX-10856.
We have a resolution on that when you're ready for it.
Okay, any questions of Jamie on that? Her report showed that there was no substance really change in that. Okay, I'll take a motion.
Kathy, you're on a roll.
Is someone going to read the resolution, or is
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you, Commissioner Tate. This is resolution number 2021-14, a resolution authorizing and approving revision number 9 to Exhibit A, Table 1, a network integration transmission service agreement, contract number 02TX-10856, entered into between the City of Mcminnville, acting by and through its Water and Light Commission, and the United States Department of Energy, acting by and through the Bonneville Power Administration. That's 2021-14.
Thank you, Sam. Kathy, then if you could move.
so moved?
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Resolution 2021-14. Trina, can you poll the commission?
Yes. Mayor Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Yes.
Commissioner Gormley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tate.
Yes.
Resolution number 2021-14 passes unanimously.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, just curious, if I remember years ago, was some developer put the panels or something, or was it a methane operation out at Banson's? It might have been methane.
Right. Yeah,
Jamie?
they had a biodigester facility that converted the methane to,
Ran out of gas and had to shut down?
I think they ran out of tax credits is what happened.
Okay. Naturally.
And we
Okay, thank you,
wheeled
Jamie.
power. Didn't we wheel that power for PGE because it was, yeah, it was their deal. Yeah.
Right, the developer sold the power to PGE, we wheeled it.
Thank you for that background on that. That takes us to revision number 5, a BPA power sales agreement. Jamie, could you discuss that and share that with us?
Sure. So this correlates to the previous agenda item. So this is revision 5 to Exhibit E of the Mcminnville's power sales contract with BPA, contract number 09 PB-13070, achieving the same metering updates and language resulting from the purchase of the Walnut City tap line and termination of the Banson dairy generation facility. Again, no change to the fundamental terms of the agreement, simply updating the meter points and delivery points.
And I have a resolution for you when you're ready for it.
Okay, so any questions of Jamie on this resolution? Hearing none, then Sam, if you'd read a resolution, I'm guessing it's 2021-15.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. A resolution authorizing approving revision number 5 to Exhibit E of the power sales agreement, contract number 09 PB-13070, entered into between the City of Mcminnville, acting by and through its Water and Light Commission, and the United States Department of Energy, acting by and through the Bonneville Power Administration. That's 2021-15.
Thank you, Sam. Do I have a motion to move?
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Jamie, can you poll the commission?
Mayor Hill,
Yes?
Commissioner Tankersley,
Yes.
Commissioner Gormley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tate.
Yes.
Resolution number 2021-15 passes unanimously. Thank you. Jamie, you now have a request to set a public hearing for electric rates. And so if you could run us through that.
Yes. So as the commission may recall, in January, we contracted with Utility Financial Solutions to update our electric cost of service study and our rate design. And UFS should have preliminary results to share with the commission at the June meeting. So staff's requesting that commission direct staff to advertise to open a rate hearing on June 15th, 2021, 3 p.m. to hear consultant and staff reports relating to the electric cost of service analysis. And we anticipate continuing the hearing to August.
Okay. Any questions of Jamie on this?
I moved, set the meeting date then.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to set our public hearing rates for electric rate increase to June 15th, 2021. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, so that motion passes unanimously. And then, Jamie, your last opportunity to present to us this evening is on the clean fuel program. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So back in the fall of 2019, Mcminnville Water and Light registered with the Oregon Clean Fuels Program. It's a Department of Environmental Quality program to become a credit generator and begin reporting on and generating credits for electric vehicles in our service territory. And with this program, the program goal is to incent development of electric vehicles and infrastructure, and to regulate emissions and fuel products in the state. So as an electric utility, Mcminnville Water and Light qualifies as a credit generator, and by participating in the program, we receive clean fuel credits based on the number of electric vehicles registered in our service territory. So calendar year 2020 was our first year of participation in the program. And we've now realized the benefit of participation and accrued 626 clean fuel credits in our program account. There's an opportunity to transact in a credit clearing market established by DEQ and find counterparties to purchase the credits. So in order to do so, Mcminnville needs to notify DEQ that we would like to pledge our clean fuel credits to the credit clearance market by April 30th. And should there be a need, so DEQ will need for the credit clearing market, depending on buyers and sellers that have pledged credits or that have required a need to purchase credits. And that should that occur, the market will be active from June 1st through July 31st, where Mcminnville Water and Light can transact with counterparties within that credit clearance market and potentially sell our clean fuel credits. There's a ceiling on the price set at, currently it's $215.15 per credit. Typical transactions have averaged around $125 per credit over the last several months. So that might be a more realistic amount. And as far as the revenue generated from the credits, there are no limitations or restrictions put on the utility as how that money is spent. So I am here this evening to request that the commission declare the 626 clean fuel credits as surplus. Finding a sale in the Oregon DEQ's credit clearance market is reasonably likely to bring the best price and authorize Mcminnville Water and Light staff to pledge these credits into the 2021 credit clearing market, and authority to a sale and the mayor and clerk to sign as necessary. That was a mouthful.
So any discussion?
No,
Okay. Do we have a motion then?
I would move.
I have a quick question though before we vote.
Go ahead, Tom.
So Jamie, does DEQ set the price, or we negotiate with buyers in the market?
DEQ sets a ceiling,
Right.
a ceiling price. Beyond that, it's up to the counterparties to negotiate. So it's on us.
And are the sales published sort of unlike the rec sales, so you know what people are paying for them?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm ready to vote. I second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Gormley and a second by Commissioner Tankersley. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? This motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. Chad, could you run us through the Spire grant agreement?
Chad's not here tonight, but I'll talk a bit to the Spire grant agreement.
Thank you, James.
So commission directed staff at the last commission meeting to look into this water purification system and get some more information. Chad and I have done that. We've talked to him on the phone. We've had exchanges in email, and it kind of came down to basically they weren't willing to change anything within the agreement. So we're kind of left with three decisions from what we can see. Is that's basically to accept the agreement, reject the agreement, or go a different route where we just purchase our own, or in this case also we could build our own. But those are the options we have. There were some extensive talks in regards to what we can and can't do, and it just basically came down to our discussions with the representative for Office of Emergency Management was that this didn't have the authority to make changes to that agreement. So we were kind of left with what we have, and that comes down to is they have the authority to to change things up on us. They actually own it. We maintain it if we go forward with this. So I'm open to having some questions, or if you need more information in regards to make up a decision. But in my discussion with them, they do need a decision from us, whether we want to proceed with the grant or decide to reject it.
James, the depreciation or the writing off of the state is over what period of time?
They didn't give us a definitive answer, but the answer I got from them was everything else that is similar to this is 10 years. So his assumption was 10 years.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, to John, we discussed this last month, and I thought there were some negative things about this too. And I see we have a resolution ready to proceed. Were we reticent about it at one time?
I think the issue, what it comes down to is the state can pull it whenever they want, and we may not have it available when we need it. So that's really what the concern is.
But did we decide we could probably build our own, and might be just as well ahead?
Yeah, we could build our own. I know that Eugene Water and Electric Board has built their own, and they have one. And I think James has talked to the builder of these, correct? If I'm correct, James,
Yeah.
you've talked to them?
So we have two, we talked to two of them. One's most recent is the one that's providing the purification system to the Office of Emergency Management. And they're out of Longview, Washington. And I did talk to them, and that's how I got, based on our discussion, this is how we came up with the numbers of the $135,000 versus $200,000 range for purchasing one, depending on how many gallons you want to look at. So the one they have for us is a 40,000 gallon water purification system, which is at $100,000 purchase cost, and that's because they're purchasing 10 of them, so they have a discount on that.
So Ed, to kind of respond to your question, I feel real strongly we should not do this, because we could lull ourselves into a false sense of security of thinking we've taken care of this for our ratepayers, and then we pay to maintain it, we have it here, we didn't do anything else, and then the problem comes up and the state decides somebody elsewhere needs it more than we do, and so then it's gone. So I think we should reject it, and then in my mind the only question is, what should we do instead? And James, do you think that we could just get added to the state's order and pay for it ourselves? And so we get the same price?
The answer was no. What they are willing to do, in my discussion with the company out of Longview at least, is they are willing to sit down with us and we can design one, and they have different sizes, that fit different price ranges and so forth. But we cannot in that same agreement. It had to be something completely different. We'd be on our own.
And is the 40,000 gallon one big enough for us?
I would recommend something larger. Our discussion John and I had, we were probably thinking around 60,000 gallon.
So that's roughly 135.
You're looking at between 135, maybe a little higher. It depends. The quote I got for a 40,000 gallon from the Longview company, their range was between 135 and 150, depending on the model we selected.
And then we might be able to build our own too, as well, right?
That's true.
Okay.
I think, if we could buy one, it'll be certified, and there might be some, a good reason to farm it out, but put together an RFP, have either James put the RFP together, or we get a consultant to help us. But Tom, I have a little different way of looking at this, and that is our involvement with our other little cities around us. We've assumed this role of helping lead things, and I think there's two things that could be accomplished with doing that. One is we can take care of ourselves, but there may be a need that one of these cities has problems, and we'd be available to help them with that, and we could recover some of the costs that way. So it would fit in kind of with the philosophy we've had with being part of the regional water system and stuff.
Right.
So,
But I think that at this point, it would, if we had if we had a regional water system where people had bought in and everybody owned a piece of the Willamette project, then I think the Willamette project could buy this and everybody would have a share of it. But I think now, if you think about the cost to us in terms of staff time and complicating other negotiations, and in terms of attorney time to have the thing drafted, to get a small share of money from this from a small city, I think we need to own this right now.
I'm thinking that we would lease this out on a unit basis of so much a gallon or something, and we're in the business. We now, in 2020, we're in the business of selling water. This would be another way we sell water.
Okay, no, that's great. So, but I think the first thing we should do is reject this. Hi, Jody.
Kathy, are you catching all this conversation we're having here?
I am. I remember from our last meeting, the discussion about, not owning it. And I'm in agreement with that. I don't think it's a good idea to have something that the state can rescind at any time they wish. It doesn't make sense for us.
So I guess the question would be, does the commission want staff to put an item in this coming budget to purchase one? We're in the process of building our budget right now.
I would support that.
Yes.
Yeah, Jody, we're talking about the emergency water treatment thing. Okay, great. And James reported back that the person at the military department or the Office of Emergency Management, the state, could not negotiate any changes to the agreement at all. It was take it or leave it. So, and you heard the discussion last month, I think. So, yeah, I think we should put a line item in there and then investigate the way to do it the best way.
I would move then to reject this resolution if that's appropriate.
I second that we reject and explain to them please explain to them in the rejection that it didn't make sense to us to put our eggs in this basket that maybe wouldn't be there when we needed it. And that we can't really understand why anybody would do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not our business model.
Just so they understand that we understand why they did it, but I hope they will understand when they're trying to help people why other jurisdictions may not be willing to do it. Apparently EWEB had the same response as we did.
Had that discussion, and we are not the first agency to pull out a grant like this because of that.
Well, let's put it in writing to them with the rejection, please. So maybe the person that you talk to who doesn't have any authority to change something isn't the one who should see it.
Yeah, we can put it in writing.
Okay, any further discussion on this?
I understand the motion is to reject the OEM grant number 19-023 for the water purification system.
Yes, that was my understanding in my second.
And so this isn't by resolution, then it is? Okay.
No, it's not by resolution.
Right.
No.
So we're just not authorizing to move forward. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm
Aye.
abstaining since I didn't participate in the conversation.
Okay. Any opposed? This motion is declined with unanimous voting and one abstention. Thank you, James. Let's go over to the reciprocal training agreement with the city of Monmouth. Scott, if you'd lead us through that discussion.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. So yeah, we're seeking commission consideration to adopt a resolution approving a reciprocal training agreement with the city of Monmouth, and specifically this is for electric line worker apprentices. So there was discussions between Mcminnville Water and Light and the city of Mcminnville and determined it would be beneficial to help in the training of apprentices. So the electrical apprentice program is based on hours, and it's broke down that apprentices need so many hours of training in different categories. I think the most interest with this agreement, the city of Monmouth is a substantially smaller electric utility than we are. Their apprentice needs some additional hours in transmission work, and we happen to have some transmission projects coming up. So this agreement has also been reviewed by our council as well as the city of Monmouth council. And attached is the resolution and a copy of the agreement here. So if there's any questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Scott, have you ran this agreement by the State Apprenticeship Council yet? The state BOLI?
There have been similar agreements done between utilities. We actually had one some time ago with City of Forest Grove.
So do we actually have a letter on file right now that they're okay with doing that? Because I can tell you from being involved with apprenticeship, we've had some issues with trying to do reciprocals with plumbers or pipe fitters from out of state. And so I just want us to make sure we do that.
Yeah,
This,
we currently do not, no.
okay. This apprentice then is an employee of the city of Monmouth, correct? Monmouth utility?
Correct.
How is he coming to us? As an employee then, or
No.
what?
He's still an employee of the city of Monmouth, and he still works under their collective bargaining agreement.
Do we have an exemption then from them? Hold harmless on if he gets in an accident or hurts himself or anything, since he's their employee?
Sam, do you want to chime in here? So
Yeah, the agreement provides for that he remains under their workers' compensation. The agreement has a kind of a release and statement from, I believe it's from both the employee and the training agency, acknowledging that he remains under their insurance.
Are we going to provide them with some compensation for the work he's performing?
My understanding is no, that all compensation is paid by the employer, which if it's a Monmouth apprentice coming here, it'll be paid by Monmouth. If it's a Water and Light apprentice going to Monmouth, we will pay for insurance and compensation.
we would send them timesheets of the work to be done, and they would be paid by their employer.
So normally there's a progress report that's got to be filled out by the foreman or the journeyman that's leading the apprentice, and that means one of us will have to do that, correct?
Correct. That's part of this agreement as well.
All right. So my concern is again the state that yeah, sounds good. The union has no issues with this whatsoever. That's acceptable to them. I'm talking about the IBW guy, business manager.
Yeah, we don't have any formal letter from them. This is very common amongst utilities, including Bonneville, but we can follow up on that.
Okay, because our union won't let us trade employees. They've got to move. They have to be payroll employees. So, and then that's because the state at times cracks down. So, anyway, sounds great. I understand about getting the hours, those kinds of things, because we have the same issues with having to move our people to different kinds of work at times. So, anyway, I'm glad we can help somebody.
I have a question. I understand that there's indemnities and waivers by the employee, but have we talked to our insurance company to make sure that they would cover us? As I vaguely remember, there are some things that employees can't waiver, like Employer Liability Act coverage or workers' comp coverage. And so do we have something from our insurance company saying, and it may be the same insurance company as Monmouth, I don't know, but do we have something saying that we are covered?
We don't have any affirmative thing. We can certainly run it by CIS we can do that. We can run it by CIS.
I wouldn't be willing to vote for it unless we had that, because
Okay.
I'm concerned that the employee may not be able to waive some rights. And I assume, Sam, that that if the employee gets paid by Monmouth, so if the apprentice gets paid by Monmouth or us, if we're working over there, the company they're doing the work for doesn't have any liability for wages to the state, right?
Well, all wages, that would be my understanding, that all wages we'd be paying, and that would include withholdings that we pay by the employer.
No, but so as long as it gets paid, my question is, that normally if somebody works for you, you're required, state law requires you to pay for them, and there are all these penalties if you don't pay them, right?
Right.
But if you've arranged for somebody else to pay, like this is the regular employer is paying, is that okay with the state? I don't know the answer.
Okay, so so it sounds like you'd like us to run it by BOLI and by CIS.
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll do that.
Jody?
Scott, what's the timing of the apprentice program to start? If we delay a decision today, does that impact?
So the apprentice, the current apprentice is already in the program, so we're not holding up the program.
Okay.
And this was based on some projects that we had coming up that we knew that there would be some transmission work for this apprentice to get.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
And Jody, I think that's a great question. I think we can solve it by, if everybody is willing to approve it subject to getting those, I think it's 4 confirmations, 2 for Ed and 2 for my concerns.
And I'm fine with that. I don't want to hold anything up, but I just want to make sure we got our bases covered.
And so can we review those again? What we're getting confirmation from BOLI and from CIS, right?
And then I heard Ed say from the union.
Double check the union, make sure they don't have any heartburn.
And from the state apprenticeship program, right?
That's BOLI.
That's BOLI.
BOLI runs the program, yeah.
So one would be BOLI apprenticeship and one would be BOLI wage and hours, I think. And that means different people. So
there probably is no wage and hour issue as much as it is, it's the apprenticeship thing. The fact that he's indentured to the city of Monmouth, but now he's coming to the city of Mcminnville to get his credit. And there's documents the city of Mcminnville Water and Lights can be filling out to certify that, he's got so many hours on the pole, things like that, that I just want to be sure that, because what happens when they do an audit, if they see something like that, well, we never approved that, we're not going to give you credit. The kid, potentially the kid could, if it's not approved in advance, the kid may not end up with credit after all his work.
So if there's no more, I move that we authorize the Water and Light to enter into this agreement with Monmouth if and only if Sam has confirmed that these 4 things are not a problem, and we have written confirmation. Is that right, Ed?
Yep.
So we have a motion and a second. This is a resolution. So Sam, could you read the resolution to us? And I'm guessing it would be 2021-17.
I think it's 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
16.
Okay, this is resolution 2021-16, resolution by the city of Mcminnville acting by and through its Water and Light Commission authorizing and approving the apprentice reciprocal training agreement between Water and Light and the city of Monmouth, the municipal corporation of the state of Oregon. I understand that motion is contingent on general counsel review and approval of confirmation of the agreement by the union, state representative, or the state apprenticeship program through BOLI and our insurance company, CIS.
And the state through wage.
And the state through wage and hour.
Yeah, BOLI through wage and hours, yeah.
Okay. Katrina, could you poll the commission?
Did we have a second on that motion?
Yes.
Yeah, Ed was second. So Tom?
Okay, thank you. Mayor Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Yes.
Commissioner Gormley,
Yes.
Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Tate.
Yes.
And so resolution 2021-16 passes unanimously. Thank you for that discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. That takes us to our next item, which is the system development charges, and we'll have a discussion. And John, could you lead us in that?
Excuse
Sure.
me, Mr. Mayor, excuse me before you start, John, sorry to interrupt. This is something where I believe that I have a conflict based on prior representation when I was a lawyer, and so I am not going to participate in the discussion or the decision.
Thank you. We recognize that, Tom.
Thank you.
Go
Okay.
ahead, John.
So at the last commission meeting, we had a discussion about potentially ways or how we would fund Zone 2 construction. This would be primarily a pump station, pipe, and a service reservoir. So back in 2011, the commission actually looked at SDCs and decided not to move forward with SDCs. And you can see in the packet that there was some costs associated with those that were produced by the consultant, and I believe it was 4,000 roughly. Total for Zone 2 was about $19,000 per lot. So staff is looking at options, and moving forward, staff was looking at probably priority one, or the first item would be to do an engineering study to actually verify that the costs for the improvements, plus is that still the best way to move forward with improvements, or are there other options for improvements that might be less costly but still get water and light the infrastructure that it's looking for. And then we would then look at maybe potentially doing a additional study on SDCs for water. It could be potentially for the entire system. It could be for Zone 2, or it could be some combination of that. Then the other funding option potentially would be some type of reimbursement district for Zone 2. So I'll open it up for questions. I guess probably the first question is commission comfortable with staff moving forward with looking at doing an engineering study?
I am, and I think where I'm at is at some point, this will be a philosophical issue of how much we as a utility should support the cost of this project financially, because we are the provider of water, and we have some built-in margin, so to speak, that I'll be part of that. But clearly, there's no way that Mcminnville Water and Light should fund this project 100%.
Okay.
So, right, and I just chime in that there's sort of a larger philosophical question about SDCs just sort of system-wide. And so there's kind of one part of it is Zone 2 and funding Zone 2. And then the question that was raised back in 2011 really was, or included system-wide SDCs. And so that's sort of another question. And so I guess I would suggest that you think about it in both, and not just simply as Zone 2 SDCs, but whether or not it makes sense for the entire city.
Okay, good, very good point. I would agree, yes.
Jody, go ahead.
In my previous life, this was a topic of conversation often about system development charges, because it gives the economic development team in the city some places to really have robust conversations with potential expansions or with prospects, and really having some hard numbers is helpful. And I'm wondering, I'm very supportive of having both done, both for this particular project, but a system-wide system development charge study would be really valuable, I think. Is this city, I know at some point the city was talking about having a more structured system development chart. Has that happened, Mayor, or is that still a topic of conversation?
To my knowledge, Jody, we have done studies to look at where we sit as compared to within the region in our system development charges, and we review that on a very frequent basis, if not annually, every 2 years, to make sure that we are where we need to go. As we grow those system charges, we don't want to put anyone at a disadvantage to raising them too quickly, so it's over time. And we've just gone through that process of looking at those again for 2021.
So,
Okay.
so what I'm hearing is the commission would be supportive of us putting some dollars into our next budget to do both items, engineering and potential study on SDCs and what they would potentially cost.
I would be, and I know Tom has a conflict, but is there any way Tom might comment on the bigger picture issue?
Yep.
Okay.
So any further discussion? Again, what we're looking at is just to, I guess, authorize more work on this and to come back with more fine tuning of the cost to move forward with the Zone 2.
Yeah, we'll add to our 2021-22 budget those as line items, so the commission can see what we're doing there.
Again, any other discussion, anyone that would be different from that? Okay, John, so you have a direction now.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a last item of unauthorized water use. Is this something that we're going to do in the general session or in the executive session?
I think we're going to go into executive session and discuss it, and then come back out of executive session into open session to take any action on it.
Okay, great. So we'll move now into executive session. In our executive session, we are going to be pursuant to ORS 192. Well, let's go ahead and get the individuals that need to go into the first executive session, and then I'll have Sam indicate why we're having this.
Yeah, maybe what I'll do is, Mr. Mayor, I think you're on the right track. I think we'll announce some kind of an open session. We'll have two executive sessions, one pursuant to ORS 192-660-2F to consider information records that are exempt from public disclosure under ORS 192-501-23 relating to identifying security measures, individual building and information processing. And we'll have a second session under 192-660, again, 2F, to consider information or records that are exempt from law or by law from public inspection under ORS 192-355 sub 4 and 355 sub 9 relating to confidential or privileged records, ORS 40.225 attorney-client privilege. And we will return into an open session for a decision after this executive session.
Thank you for reading that into the record, Sam. So Trina, if you can